Welcome. I am Brianna Ivy. I'm the Professional Learning Specialist here at Argument Driven Inquiry, and I will be your facilitator for today's session. We have Tori Nickerson. She's our project manager here at Argument Driven Inquiry. Let's get into it. Our objective for today for this webinar is going to be an overview of the 2023 Make a Change grant. We're going to talk about eligibility. We're going to talk about project requirements, timeline of events, and then we're going to have a question and answer session at the end, just in case we don't answer any of your questions as we go through, or maybe you have some specific questions. So the overview, the 2023 Make a Change Grant Initiative provides organizations with funding to support the adoption and subsequent use of ADI instructional materials. Argument-driven inquiry is looking to fund up to 10 3- or 4-year projects that will not only initiate a major change in teaching and learning of science, math, or engineering that takes place in a district or school, but will also establish an infrastructure that will sustain the change made after the project ends. So let's talk about eligibility. There are 3 different ways that you can be eligible for this grant. The first thing you have to be is a district or a school in the United States. Your district or school needs to be new to ADI. So let's say you're like, oh, well, we already do ADI in science. Are we eligible? You will fall into our next 2 categories. Your school or district needs to be using ADI in only one subject. So if your district is using ADI already in science, we encourage you to expand to ADI in math. And then your third way you can be eligible is your school or district needs to be using ADI in only 1 or 2 grade levels. What does that mean? Let's say you have ADI and you have it going great in your middle school. Well, you're eligible if you would like to take ADI instructional model, let's say into your high school. So those are your 3 ways that you can be eligible. Project requirements. So these are the things that we are going to be requiring from you during this grant process. So the first thing is to plan an initiative and sustain a meaningful change in teaching and learning of science, mathematics, or engineering throughout your district or multiple schools. The second one is a sequence of project activities that span over a period of 3 to 4 years. So we want you to get these investigations and these kids in the classroom and have teachers actually doing an investigation. The third requirement, a project team that consists of a diverse team of educators, a variety of experiences. That means we don't just want your classroom teachers. We would love it if you get your special education teachers, your instructional coaches. Let's get all of them involved in this grant so that kids can learn. Number 4, meaningful use of ADI instructional material by teachers in a specific content. At least 6 investigations in a school year by all teachers who teach, let's say, algebra. What we want, if you're doing the grant in science, we want a variety of teachers, biology, chemistry. We want them to get in and actually do the investigations and have a plan for it. And let's make it meaningful. Let's fit it in. Number 5, a way to ensure teachers have access to ADI instructional materials during and after the project ends. So this can even mean making sure that teachers have a science lead to get them the materials, or maybe a science room in their school building where they can easily access the materials that they need in order to implement different investigations in their classroom. 6, professional learning for teachers about how to use ADI instructional materials and ways to promote and support students learning when using these materials. We want to make sure that teachers have confidence in implementing this ADI instructional model in their classroom. They have confidence using the kits, they know how, but also we want them to feel like they're supported when they have different learners in their room. Number 7, a focus on diversity, equality, and inclusion throughout the project. Here at ADI, we believe that all students are capable of learning. Number 8, a meaningful evaluation of the impact of the project on teaching and learning within an organization. Part of this is going to be about making sure that when you're evaluating, we're not just saying it's going good or it's going great, but we want to know, are kids growing? Are teachers struggling? Do they need more professional learning? Number 9, a plan to disseminate lessons learned from the project. And then 10, a plan for fulfilling all project reporting requirements and data collection needed. So now that we've kind of talked about the eligibility and then the requirements of the project, we want to go over a timeline of when things are expected to be due. On January 20th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, the intent to submit a proposal form is due. This is really important if you are in a different time zone. It's going to be due at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. On February 24th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, your proposal packets will become due. On March 15th, this is where the project selected for funding will be announced. Now, the next question we would like to talk about is what happens once you've been selected and you are going to start the grant. What's due then? What does that timeline look for you as you begin to plan and figure out how this grant and implementing ADI instruction model will fit into your overall planning for the year? Each year, you're going to have 3 different dates to remember. July 1st is going to be when projects begin each year. So the first one will be July 1st, 2023. And then you will have a report due date. This is where you're going to turn in some paperwork, some reports about what's been happening, what's going on. And then your year will end on June 30th, 2024. As you can see, we keep it constant each year. The beginning of that year will always be July 1st. The end will be June 30th. And then you will send in your reports on June 1st. So this is what it will look like if you are doing it between 3 and 4 years. All right. We are in the part where you guys can submit your questions. I see we have a few questions already in, and we're going to jump into those. While we're giving other people a chance to submit their questions, we are going to go over some common questions that we have either already received or you think you may have. The first question, we started to apply a few years ago, but didn't have the buy-in. Can we apply again? Absolutely. We would love for you to apply again and hopefully get selected and bring ADI instructional model into your classroom and see your kids grow. If our school or district already uses ADI in science, can we still apply? Yes, you can still apply, but when you do apply, you would have to apply for ADI instructional model in math. That's part of the eligibility, that if you already are doing ADI in science, in order for you to be eligible for the grant, you're going to have to do ADI in math in your schools. Can we use the books as part of our project? Unfortunately, no. We are encouraging everyone to, if you haven't already, subscribe to our ADI Learning Hub. This is where we have some of the up-to-date, new, great investigations that we know students and teachers will fall in love with. So we do encourage you to check out our Learning Hub. We do not, unfortunately, support the books for this grant. Can we have multiple schools in the grant? Yes, we encourage you to have multiple schools in grants. Our whole motto is to help kids grow and fall in love with science. So please have multiple schools in your grant. The next question says, how do I budget for this year? Once you sign up for your letter of intent, we will send you out a pricing list of our kits and the learning curve prices, which are also available at the ADI Learning ADI store, which I will drop a link for you at the end of this webinar. So please stick around if you would like that link. All right, we're gonna jump into some of the questions that you have. Our first question says, what will be included in the report? Is that covered in our submission for the grant? Vic, you want to take this one?
Sure, no problem. My video is not starting up, but hopefully you can all hear me on this. When it comes to the reports, you'll get a template that comes in. It's basically saying what expenditures have you done and an overview of activities that you've taken place. So for example, we got so many people, this many subscriptions to Learning Hub. We did 2 workshops, and this is what we've spent down so far. So what we're trying to do is make this as easy as possible for everybody that's getting involved in this. So you'll always have a template that sends your way. Shouldn't take more than a couple hours to fill out at the very most.
Thank you. Our next question says, can you discuss the 80% with 20% district funded?
Sure. So one of the things we're really hoping to do is why we're calling this Make a Change is we'd like to see things take root as going on inside districts. One of the things I know that's really hard that happens is we'll start something new and then funding changes or commitments change. So what we're hoping to do is have districts buy into this process. So that's why we use a 80-20% for the funding. So the maximum you can apply for or ask for us to contribute from ADI is $75,000. If that is 80% of your total budget, that means the district will need to kick in $18,750 for a total budget of $93,750. Similarly, if you want to request $65,000 from us to use this, that means that would be 80% of your budget. So you would need $16,250 from the district for a total budget of $81,250. Now you can spread that over multiple years, right? So we're looking to fund at least 2-year projects, and preferably 3 or 4. And what you can do with the district matching of that is you can do lots of different things. So you can spend that on substitutes, the price of using a room for a workshop. For example, if your district charges for that, you can purchase extra materials for teachers. What we envision this happening is really in those final years, right? So to get started, in years 1, use most of the funding from us to get started. In year 2, finish out using the funding from us and then start using yours, and then in year 3 on that, and hopefully it's all up and running by that point. What I can do is show you really quickly a budget kind of outline here of what you'll get if you have not gotten, when you submit your letter of intent, we will send you the whole package of materials for you to fill out your application, and one of those is an Excel file that allow you to do your budget. So let me show you what that looks like real quick, just so you have an idea of what we're talking about. So when you get this Excel file, it'll look like this. On the first page is your directions. It'll talk about how you're spending, how to fill out this Excel file, and the budget requirements that are on there. Then each tab gives you a different year. So year 1 will be your first year, that July 1st to June 30th timeframe. And over here on the blue is what you're using funds that are supplied from ADI for. So basically all you have to do is fill out these green parts, and it'll automatically populate for you down here in terms of products, services, and travel. Okay. Over here on the yellow side is what the district will be contributing. In year 1, we don't expect any contributions at all, although you're feel free to do that. In year 2, then you can see, okay, what am I spending out of the grant project here? What is the district kicking in? Year 3, and then year 4, right? So I don't expect everybody to use, you'll notice in year 4, there's no way to contribute. It's all from the district at that point, as well as year 3. So you have to spend out the money supplied by ADI on these first 2 years, and then the last 3 years. The last 2 years are from the district. Now, the project budget summaries allows you to check your work. So this will automatically populate from the pages as you fill them out as well. So you can see here on this summary, in year 1, there's funding source, the Make a Change grant, which is supplied by us, funding from the district. How much in product, service, and travel will pop up when you fill in those green forms on the second sheet. Product, service, and others can be 0, whatever it ends up being. And then in year 2 and in year 3. Once again, you'll see in year 3 and year 4, that's all the contributions that are coming from the district or organization to make sure to hopefully have these all take root. And then you'll see in the project total, it'll allow you to see what's the total the money for the entire project, what's your funding request, what's the contribution, and then that's the percentage that you can check with those, so you can check your numbers. A good rule of thumb is to take whatever you're requesting and divide that by 0.80, and that'll tell you how much money is your total budget, and then the difference between those two values is what the district needs to contribute to be eligible for funding. Also in here, one of the other things to think about is what we've tried to do is put a lot of the values in on different things. So you can see what are the value of different subscriptions for folks, facilitator packs, PLC in a box, classroom supplies. Those you can just go to our website and see if you want to order any of those. None of this stuff is required. We just try to put a lot of things on here that allows you to kind of have an idea of how you decide to make a change in your district. We're really looking for you all to take something and run with it. Other questions?
Yes, we have another question. Says, we represent a region of schools in upstate New Jersey. Do I need individual districts to sign on to apply for the grant?
No, in that case, the region of schools would be the organization. So that would be the one that's kicking in the 20%. So if you want to set up an infrastructure of schools and supporting them through this, that's more than fine.
All right. So then we have a similar question, but they're asking, do you have to be, I guess, a school to apply, or can you be a school district partner?
As far as I'm understanding, a school district partner can apply. I think that's the same idea of these groups that are supporting multiple districts. When in doubt, send us specific questions and we'll answer those for you on that one.
Our next question says, our school district is considering applying with a focus on the engineering design. Will those be published to the Learning Hub?
Absolutely. One of the things that we are working on is getting those all in there right now. We are doing our last bits of edits and we'll be inputting those here in the next week or so. So yes, you will have that available to work on engineering as well.
All right, we have 2 more questions. Our next one is, what type of dissemination of lesson plans are acceptable?
So when we're thinking about the dissemination, it's not so much lesson plans and those kinds of pieces. It's more spreading the word about what you're doing. So you can do that through going to conferences and having a teacher or the PI of the principal investigator of the project going to a conference and just talk about what's happening and sharing that. Or maybe write an article for a practitioner journal. There's lots of different ways that you can do that. It's not necessarily sharing the direct resources, but more of the experience of how you went about making a change in your districts or organizations. So what you do, how did it work? One of the things that we'll be looking for is when you're measuring kind of the impact of the grant, how you decide to do that, right? So you can think about, are you looking at students' test scores before and after this started? Maybe students' attitudes toward science or engineering. maybe their sense of belonging or feeling. You can focus on teachers as well, how their ideas about teaching and learning have changed before and after. It really depends on what the initiative in your district is or school and what you're really focusing on. So our requirement is that you are looking at impact of some way, shape, or form. The best way to do that is to really think about kind of before and after and during that. So each year, one of the things that we'll be asking you in that report is like, how did that measure of whatever you're doing for impact is looking, right? So that's the idea, is you keep collecting that as you're going.
All right, we have another question. Says, does the 20% need to really come from the district? Can we do other grants from a different organization that will supplement the 20%?
If it is already in advance awarded to the district or school, that is perfectly fine. It's not eligible if you're using that 20% as a non-funded source that is hoping to get funded to have this go through. Part of the reason why this is the first year of the project will be starting here in July. Is one, so we want to make sure that you're able to get started. And then number two, one of the things that we're really thinking about is districts wanting to contribute and ensure that any kind of change that you initiate doesn't go away as soon as the grant is over. So like I said before, there's many ways that you can match that or contribute that 20%, sub-stipends, any number of things, travel, lots of different ways that you can do that in that part, and you can phase in over the multiple year project.
All right, here's our last question. It says, we have paid to send multiple people to train the trainer so we can train people in-house. Can some of the costs the district is committed by doing this and offering the trainings in-house be factored into the cost the district is paying?
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect example of that. So if if your district has already done that, that can be part of the cost. Or if you're planning on doing it this year, absolutely. The district can send 2 or 3 people to our Facilitator Institute, and that's their cost as part of their contribution. Absolutely.
That's all of our questions.
Fantastic. And I think the big thing too to think about as you're doing this, if you have any questions, please, oh, no problem. I'll hang on for a second. If you have any questions, send us an email and we'll answer them as quickly as we can. If you are even thinking about applying, go ahead and put in an intent to submit. That just lets us know that you're thinking about it, and then we can send you the package to put all together. You're not required to submit if you're intending to submit. It just allows us to give an idea of how many people are doing this and what kinds of groups, and we can help you fill out those forms and that kind of stuff is kind of the goal behind that. So really watch that first deadline. If you're thinking about doing this, put in a request or an intent to submit so we can get you the materials.
All right, thank you guys so much. Your contact person for this, we definitely want to leave you with someone that you can email. Let's say if you have questions as you are filling out paperwork or just have questions in general. Tori Nickerson is going to be the project manager for the 2023 Make a Change grant. This is her email. We super encourage you guys to write that down just in case you have any questions that may come about. Thank you so much.